I'm going to go over the instructions for how to make your pie graph. If you missed class today, you can go ahead and listen to this and follow along, and you'll be able to hopefully successfully make your pie graph. Now, if you haven't already done so, you should make sure that we have the correct graph type for the correct data. So if you haven't filled these in, you can go ahead and pause me and write down the correct type of graph for the correct data set. All right, I'm going to go over these now. So hopefully you were honest and you tried it on your own before you're listening to the answers. So this first graph type with the puppy growth over a year should be a line graph, because a line graph is great to use when showing how something is changing over a period of time. And we're going to do the line graph tomorrow in class. The second set of data is comparing the cat population in different countries. So the data in this graph should be a bar graph. Remember when I talked about my Avenger friends in the city, and we compared how many lives each of them saved. So in this case, we're comparing cats in different countries. And finally, the favorite school subjects by percentage. Because it's a percentage, that tells you that we should use a pie, or also known as a circle graph. All right, so now that you know which data to use for which graph, please make sure you are using the correct data. That's a big mistake that people make every year. They either make up their own data or they use the wrong data for the wrong graph type, and then they have to totally redo the graph. And I don't want that to happen. So if we look back at the instructions, it tells you on pages 798 and 799 in the textbook. The textbooks are available in my classroom, or if you're trying to do this from home or somewhere that you can't get to my classroom, you can look. There's a separate link on Google Classroom to pull up the scanned textbook pages, so you can access that from anywhere. So it explains how to make each type of graph, and you're going to make one of each using the correct data. So today, of course, we are working on the circle graph. So I'm going to skip down to the circle graph instructions. So that information is on page 799. You can refer to that if you're still not sure what to do after you finish watching this. You're going to use the appropriate data. So the school subjects should be this graph. There's also a circle template, which we will take a look at in just a minute. So for all three graphs, you need to make sure you have a title. Now, remember I talked a little bit about making a title and how the title should tell me what's on the graph. Your title should not say, my bar graph, Mrs. Smith's pie graph, or anything else that doesn't tell me what the data is. It shouldn't have the name of a graph in it at all. Everyone knows it's a graph by looking at it, so you don't need to write that it's a graph in the title. Labels and units. So in this case, it'll be your labels will have the names of the subjects and the percentages. Use a ruler. It's not as important for the circle graph because the sections are already marked off for you, but it should be neat and easy to read. And then I have some graph-specific requirements. The only one that applies to the pie or circle graph is this third one, that the sections should be different colors. Please keep in mind that pencil is not a color. And I'm not just trying to be a pain about it. Graphite smears. So when you color things in graphite, first of all, you tend to smear it around on your paper. Then I collect it and it smears around on other papers. And then when I grade it, it smears around on me. So if you really like the color gray, grab a black colored pencil and press really lightly and you'll get gray. So each subject should be a different color. There will be 6 different colors. All right, now let's go down to, here's your template. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that some of these didn't copy quite right. So right here where my cursor is, that should be a line. So that's actually 2 sections. This one's also 2 sections. So you might want to divide those up so you don't get confused. These 2 on the side, you can see part of the line. So those are also 2 sections. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is count how many sections and figure out what percent each triangle is. So remember, the entire circle is 100%. So you're going to need to do some basic math to figure out what percentage each pie slice represents. And then from there, you'll figure out how many triangles you need to color in order to get the correct subjects in the right place. I would recommend using a pencil just to kind of section off each subject to make sure that your math was correct, because you should not have any extra triangles at the end, and you should have enough triangles to fit in all of these subjects. So these all add up to 100. So do that first before you ruin your template, because you only get one. All right, so I think that's about all of the information that you need to know to get started. So make sure you do your pie graph. Today's Wednesday, so that's Wednesday's assignment, and it's already written in your agenda book that this one is due tomorrow. And then we're going to be I'll make a separate video tomorrow explaining how to do the line graph. And then on Friday, I'll make another video explaining how to do the bar graph. So if you miss either of those 2 days, you can check out the video. So good luck. And when your circle graph is done, show it to me. I'm stamping them once they're completed and have all the requirements met. And that lets you know that it's good, and that lets me know when I collect it that it's basically already graded. So that'll show you that you're going to get 100% on this graph. All right, that is all. Thank you.